Okay, here we go again. So, welcome to another episode of The World According to Gwen. One of the things I mentioned in the previous one was a little bit of insight to me and how I operate, and I had said this also in the introductory video and maybe the first one about relationships or sacred ground, and I think this is probably what this 10 or 15 minutes is going to be about. Um, I am a student of the law of attraction. What does that mean? That means that like attracts like. Uh, what we think about, we feel about, we bring about. What you focus on grows. Um, good feeling perpetuates more and more good feeling. Bad feeling perpetuates more and more bad feeling. That's just kind of how it is. This is part of the physics, right? The way we understand it is physics. And this is what I've observed in my life so far. And I believe in an almighty supreme being that is a creator of everything in existence. I like to call that my maker, um, and true source. And most people call it God. I'm totally okay with that. I'm not an anti-God person. Um, and I believe that God lives and dwells inside of us, and that God is made up of us, and that we are made and created in its image. And I'm going to be specific about its as opposed to his, because then we could have to talk about patriarchies and matriarchies and all that kind of historical stuff that humans have done. So, but God is, and that's a cool thing, right? Like God is. And is inside of me, inside of you, inside of everybody. And like some great person said, if you can't see God in all, you can't see God at all. Because how can there be anywhere that we can go or be and there's not God? Like, I mean, you really got to think on that one for a little while. You know? I love it. Remember that book, Be Here Now, that I brought out a couple of days ago? Or a couple of videos ago, the long reading one. I'm really sorry about that. It was kind of tacky. Um, in that book, there's a story where the teacher gives 3 students each a chicken. And he says, go and kill the chicken. And one guy just whack right there, kills a chicken, poof, dead. The second one, he takes the chicken out behind the bushes and wrings its neck and kills it and comes back. And the third guy, this would be me probably, he walks around with that chicken for 3 days, and he comes back to his teacher with his live chicken, and he says, I can't kill the chicken because everywhere I go the chicken sees. And you remember me commenting on the first video about how relationships are sacred ground, because there's me and there's you, and then there is that all-seeing, omnipotent, omnipresent eye of God that sees anything and everything, and it sees it inside of me, it sees it inside of you. We see it in each other. In the story, the guy sees it in the chicken, and that's back to the truth. And that's why I wanted to start this video with, because truth is truth. Truth is truth is truth is truth is truth. Now, truth and facts are not the same thing. Isn't that funky? Yeah. Like, my lips were itching. Yeah. And I'm really thinking on that truth and facts, my statement, because I might have been wrong. My mate used to want to tell me, well, let's talk about facts. Let's talk about facts. And I'm like, I'm not interested in talking about facts. I'm interested in talking about truth. And truth is, I feel like this. Or truth is, you said this. Or truth is, this is not easy to be here now. And that's the truth. Whew. Lordy mercy. Somebody might be watching this right now going, see, that's why that woman is single. And that's not news to me, But I got to live with me forever. And forever is a long time. And I prefer to live with me with a clear conscience. So, law of attraction, like attracts like. We get what we think about. Truth is truth, and it lasts through all the ages, patriarchies, matriarchies, technoarchies that we're going to have. including it lives through all the ages, including this one. We will get what we think about whether we like it or not. And this comes into why being aware of our thoughts, and not every thought is going to actually materialize. But you know what I read, and I experienced it as true. I can't say why. That book Brida that I mentioned in the first video, it said everything spiritual will be made manifest. Baby, the thoughts. Some thoughts might be thoughts from little Gwen. Some thoughts might be thoughts from big Gwen. That's part of that source and maker. And that thing I will go home to when I leave this body. Yeah, everything spiritual will be made manifest. So all these little thoughts, nudges, usually my intuition is not always, I'm not necessarily a clairaudient type of person. I tend to feel things and more than hear or see, although I have been gifted with both the sight and the sound. I just don't have like perfect control over them. And sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not, and having to respect and appreciate the fact that Source gives them to me when he wants me to have them and doesn't when it doesn't. What am I going to do about that other than practice more? And so present time. One of the other things that I had mentioned in these early text messages was on April the 5th at 17:58 Eastern Daylight Time, I sent to him, because he says, so I take it you're not interested to meet on Monday after Easter. And I replied to him, I've been thinking a lot on this lately. Do not try and bend the spoon. That would be nearly impossible. Merely only try to realize the truth. You've got to know the matrix in order to know that one. And I'd been thinking on that. And I think I'm going to think on that for a couple of more days now, because all this drama that I got going that I'm having a hard time letting go of. Let's put it like that. It's not that I got a lot of drama going on. It's that I'm having a hard time letting go of it, because you give your heart, your soul, your body to someone and you share time and you have experiences and stuff. It should be a little bit hard to let go. If it's not hard to let go, you probably really don't want to be hanging out with that person. And for all I know, he was still in the throes of whatever with this previous girl, and I didn't realize how much or know. And she was the one that it was hard to let go of, and he just decided to hook up with me as like a fill in the space, and now it's done, and so he's back to her. The games people play. But for me, keep my sanity, right? Do not try and bend the spoon. Don't try and change the reality. That would be nearly impossible. Merely only try to realize the truth. That we get what we think about, whether we like it or not. And I promised it, I swear it to you, I was not thinking about this guy going back to his ex-girlfriend. Not in a million years. That was not what I was thinking about. Because as I'm going to get to before this video is over, I was already planning on getting married to the man. I know that sounds a little crazy too. My kids, when I told them that, they were like, are you insane? And so anyways, but I tell him, been thinking, don't try and bend the spoon. That would be nearly impossible. Merely only try to realize the truth. And he responds to me to say, the spoon is not there. And that's bullshit. The spoon is there. The spoon is there. The truth is, we have a certain amount of control over the spoon. Now, maybe he's thinking, well, actually, because I can, you still kind of hear people in your head sometimes afterwards. What he might have meant was, the spoon isn't actually there because they were in the Matrix when they had that that particular experience at the Oracle's house, and the Matrix itself was not real, as opposed to real life that was physically happening and living in the Nebuchadnezzar and in Zion. So, I don't know, maybe that's what he meant. I could have been wrong. But I do remember when he texts that back, the spoon is not there. I remember, I do have the memory of an elephant sometimes, and that's does not always serve me. Um, I can remember even then thinking like, but give the man some credit. After all of this that's happened and his talking to me about like having stories in my mind and being more attached to the story in my mind than what was actually physically happening in the reality in the real world right now. Um, and when those stories in the mind get out of control, or not out of control, but deeply embedded, um, things happen. And that's the difference. I appreciate that what happens in the non physical starts to happen in the physical, and that the physical is an expression of the non physical, not the other way around. I think I want to say that again, and let's see if I can say that again. The physical is a manifestation of what has happened and transpired in the non physical, not the other way around. And that's why, even throughout biblical times, we pay attention to the non physical. People pay attention to their dreams. I was warmed in a dream. You're told things, and we hear. Do you know what I'm saying without me saying any more about it? And this guy, for a while, I would feel like was trying to deny the non physical. And I don't know. We'll have to see. He might just have the kahunas to come and have a conversation with me and with you, with everybody, and we'd talk about the road that we have been on thus far. And as it goes on in these text messages, nope, I'm totally okay to meet on the Monday after Easter. But what happened was I was like, well, why don't you go ahead and come down on Easter anyways when I get off work? And that might be where I really kind of mess things up, or can own some things, because I knew good and well that if he came down and stayed with me down there after I got off work, after working 3 shifts in the hospital, that we were probably gonna do some very adult things, just the physical types of things. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't toke, I don't coke, I don't do that kind of stuff. But just some of those things that men and women do together. And I knew that was probably going to happen, and I knew that I really wanted to do that, but I also really didn't want to do that. And so there's where I really first let a boundary down that I shouldn't have. God Almighty. So that was Sunday night, Easter, which is one of my most favorite holidays, Easter, and then we spent the day together on Monday, which was fabulous and amazing. And he stayed Monday night, and then he left Tuesday morning. And but even on that time, Sunday night and Monday, the transparency of mind that I was willing to share with him, for me, is like magic. What do you do when you have a thought and somebody speaks your thought? What do you do when you're sitting there and you can hear yourself go, "Ooh, I think maybe I might like to kiss him," and then the next thing you know, he's like reaching in, coming to kiss you? What do you do when you're just in the same plane of existence, physically and mentally together? Like, for me, that's what's the word I was going to use? I was going to say undeniable, but that's not the word. Irresistible. That's the word. Irresistible. And you want? I'm human. So, oh, and you know, if I was to say that, all of a sudden I can hear my older sister going, I'll tell you what I want. I want you to grow up. I want you to act decent. I want you to not sin. I want you to do blah, 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 all these kinds of things. And I'm like, well, you know, like, I am sitting here with a big smile on my face, probably because I'm making this video. Earlier this morning, I was bawling my eyes out in horrible pain, emotional pain, crying, and yes, I sent that to him as well. No, I did not hear anything from him. But and that's the thing. Like, I still trust him to understand me as a human going through the process of living out the results of the things that I have thought about, one way or another. Kind of heavy, huh? So that, and you know, that night on Easter, he told me that he loved me, and I remember thinking, like, wow, that's kind of soon for you to be saying this to me. Like, I don't really know what I think about that. Definitely love what we share, but I don't know. It made me a little bit uncomfortable. But full transparency, by Monday afternoon, maybe Tuesday. No, let me tell you, because it really was beautiful. We're at the 16-minute mark, so I'm going to be fast. Monday evening, I took him out to this field that's out there in those woods, and there's this little beautiful cleared field, and I shared a breathing exercise that I know of called the breath empowerment, and it was just so spectacular to be out there under beautiful blue sky, in the grass and the birds and the trees and the breeze, and to share that with him. And after that, I think it was that same day. I'll have to check my messages and I'll put it in the next one. But I had kind of decided, like, it wasn't immediately after that. It was a little bit later after that. I thought I was by myself actually when it happened, but I was like, you know, I can marry this man. Like, we can do this, and it can be great. He is all these things that are things that I really want, that are not necessarily easy to find in other people, because, you know, most people are consumed with watching TV, eating a bunch of crap, and just not earth-loving, tree-hugging Bikram yoga teachers who appreciate pranayama and want to live in a space of mental transparency, even though sometimes it's painful to know the thoughts that are in somebody else's mind, as well as handsome and Floridian and educated and intelligent and available, like emotionally available as well as physically available, like not married already, and maybe that's a thing for me to change on, thinking about how hard it can be to find somebody that resonates and, to use his word, harmonizes with you. And we just all clicked up, but then the harmony was hard to maintain because of the power struggles, control struggles, battle of the wills, and insecurities on both sides. And we'll have more of that in the next video. Thanks for being here. I super, super appreciate it. I've decided that the way that I'm going to get through all this is YouTube is going to be my catharsis experience, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to share all the crying and the tears, though. That, I'll save that. Thanks. See you again soon.